everyone, welcome back. This is episode 16 of CNY Conversations. I am Jason Klink. Today I'm here with Heather Loveland-Button. And Heather is the owner of Home Sweet Home Cleaning and Gardening with over 20 years of experience in residential cleaning industry and the horticulture field. She earned her bachelor's from Cornell and is recognized for her work as a catalyst business with the Greater Utica Chamber of Commerce and her contributions to the nonprofit Cleaning for a Reason. So Heather is best known for her expertise in cleaning and business and has a proven track record of success in small business operations and management. And that's the one part I definitely want to jump in on. So Heather, I thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So I have dubbed this podcast episode a business highlight. And that's really one of the core features of doing this podcast that's super hyper local to Central New York is to highlight people of Central New York, businesses, athletes, entertainers, sports figures, whoever it might be, and make it very specific to Central New York. So cleaning and horticulture,
Right.
two different ends of the spectrum. Explain that a little bit.
Well, so both are service-based industries, and they're both a recurring business model. So there's that aspect of being able to hire staff and know that you're going to consistently have the work for them. How it evolved in my own personal life is I'm a third generation house cleaner. I was born and raised learning how to clean buildings and residences. That's how I always used to make money going throughout high school and college. Got really involved in the plant world, loved it. Realized when I moved back to the central New York area that there's a lot of really great things happening in the landscaping world, but there was a lack of people who actually understood the care of plants. There was a lot of people installing things, but then they were kind of walking away. And if you have more specialized plants other than just basic bushes, there was nobody that was really focusing on how to take care of those. That being said, we're kind of not doing the horticulture thing, the gardening thing right now. I just recently had 2 babies back to back.
Oh my goodness.
And so I have a 2-year-old and I have an 8-month-old. And I just don't have the time to manage that aspect of the business right now. So we're really super focused on getting the getting the cleaning aspects of the business all settled and making sure that we have the proper people in place to manage this. And then in the next couple of years, when time opens up a little bit more, we're going to start getting back into gardening and hopefully also a lawn division within that.
That's fantastic. Now, are you doing how do you, I guess, trying to find the best way to ask this, but to go out and get new business, are you networking with like real estate agents and home builders and such, or is it more word of mouth and referrals?
So we should be networking a lot more than we are. We are looking to launch a new position within the business here that is going to be focused on our networking, because we are part of all these wonderful chambers. We're part of the Cazenovia, the CEO Center State, Clinton, New Hartford, all of these wonderful people doing these wonderful things, Utica. And we are not there to show who we are, talk about who we are. Mostly just because we're pretty busy people. So I thought of just building a position that focused on that, because I really can't be going out at 5:30 they have these great events in Utica for the Chamber of Commerce. And I just can't get there due to my personal life and me wanting to really focus on my family. So right now we have a really great Google presence. We have 4.9 stars and over 150, I think we're at, reviews. And then word of mouth is also really excellent as well.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and it's one of the things, being a real estate agent and having a real estate business was learning that if you're not visible, you're invisible. And if you're not connecting with people, they're not going to know who you are and what you do. And, they'll typically pick out certain individuals in a networking event. They know who the real estate agent is, or they know who the attorney is, or, whoever. But it's amazing. And that's why I had started a networking group here in Syracuse just through Facebook, just to start making those connections and have people support each other, support their businesses, and hopefully collaborate on different projects, that may be specific to their business model. Have you been able to have that kind of collaboration in the Utica area based on the services you provide?
Yeah, we have connections with some real estate agents around here. We're newer to the Syracuse area, so we
Hmm.
started our branch out there. Gosh, it's probably been a couple years, but time flies when you're having fun, having babies and all
Sure.
that. So we aren't doing a lot of collaboration, but that is something that we want to make sure that we're getting up and going. So hopefully you'll start seeing us around at certain events and just figuring out how we can work with people in the local areas. And we have worked with Tony Prince. He's one of the manliest
Hmm.
area realtors. He's set us up with some beautiful accounts, beautiful homes to go in and work with. And he actually found us our office out there in Manlius as well.
Oh, great, great. So, did you start out in this business as a solopreneur? Did you have a team, or did you go from solopreneur to growing a team?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I came back. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer in 20 let's see, well, I'm not gonna be able to remember the exact date, but about 13, 14 years ago.
Okay.
And I came back to the area thinking like I was just going to come home, help take care of her
Hmm.
and get her back on her feet. She's healthy and wonderful now.
Great.
And then I was going to go back out west, and I ended up meeting my husband. The rest is history. So I stuck around here, realized that there is a lot potential in this area to really make a growing business, a scalable business out of the house cleaning industry. So
Hmm.
I was doing it on my own for a long time. I cleaned up until my oldest, he's going to be about 2.5. Till I was 5 months pregnant with him, and then I was like, okay, I think it's time that I get into the office. I really miss cleaning for a lot of different reasons. It's so satisfying, and just the constant movement on your body and all that. But then we really started growing it from there when I finally realized that I'm better off in the office scaling the business versus being out there servicing the accounts. We've grown into, I think at today we have 22 cleaners.
Oh, great.
Yeah, in the Utica and Syracuse area combined. And we have a lot of people that go back and forth for us while we've built that area. People who are located in like Balkville. And so it's easy for them to get to Manlius and to Waterville. And then we have 3 full-time people in the office. And Krista, who set me up with you, she's
Hmm.
our part-time behind the scenes networker. She does about 5 hours a week for us, just connecting us to various people throughout the community.
That's fantastic. And it's, to me, it's really great to see, and it's almost motivating to see somebody come back to the area or be in the area and then go, you know what, I'm going to start up this business model. I'm going to see if we can grow it and provide a service and be of service to our community, and just see the successes is
Yeah.
so super cool. Now, are you, are you influencing other small business? Are you working with other small business owners to help them scale?
I would really love to do that. I'm actually in this network. It's a nationwide, and it involves people in Canada as well, um, of just cleaning business owners. And that
Okay.
really inspires me to bring the concepts I'm learning from them back to just the local area. But I am not currently doing any of that. These are all aspirations. Um, just with my family at the age that they're at right now,
Yeah.
I'm basically focusing on that,
Hmm.
working here in the office. And I didn't mention this in the bio because it's still so new for me. My husband and I are launching another company on Monday here. So, I'm not doing a lot of things outside of the business. It's something that I always wanted to work on. I had the idea of just having like a networking group locally where
Yeah.
we could talk about the different challenges. And it's something I definitely would like to start carving out some time for.
So was your, and I always, it's funny how these conversations go pre, during, and post COVID, but it is what it is. Were you in business during that pandemic shutdown time, and how did that affect you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty scary for everybody, no matter what field you were in. As a small business, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
So the way it affected us was we shut down for 6 weeks, and then people started feeling a little bit more secure about having us in their homes. So
Mm-hmm.
we would wear our masks. We'd ask people to stay away from each other. We started our solo model. So before then, we were cleaning in teams. So
Mm.
our staff would meet up. They would take one vehicle, and we've transitioned into more of a solo model, which we've realized has ironed out a few other wrinkles just business wise in the meantime, and it's ended up working out well. But there was that point where nobody even wanted to be around each other, so we didn't want our staff to be in cars with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, we managed through that, and we had a really good support. We had some clients that continued to pay their bills even though they weren't having us service them. There was just there's a lot of kindness that shone through from the local community here to help keep us running and going.
Wow, that's great. So outside of pandemics, what kind of growing pains and learning opportunities did you have as you were expanding your business?
Yeah, I think realizing, well, there's a lot of growing pains. I think just realizing what you have to do as the employer and to pivot. I think so, like, kind of with the COVID, and it's kind of been a thing the last, I don't know, 5, 10 years, or, oh, people just don't want to work anymore. And it's like, is
Mm-hmm.
that the truth? Or are we really building a place where people want to work? And are we
Right.
adjusting as small business owners to stop trying to make everybody conform to the way that we want things to operate? We need to start listening to our employees a lot more and figuring out the way that they want to operate. I've got some really great staff members. They want to work 4 days a week. And it's like we have a lot of moms that work here. They need the days to do their doctor's appointments, to do the grocery shopping. But
Yep.
you have to have that time. So instead of saying, like, we need somebody who's going to be here Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, listening to what people actually need and saying, okay, well, how about you have every Wednesday off, or you get done early for your daughter's class or your daughter's dance classes every early on every Thursday. So I think kind of stopping being stubborn is a really big growing pain for, I think, a lot of entrepreneurs as you go to
Yeah.
scale. And then also realizing that you have to remember what it was like to learn something.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are like masters in our field, whatever it is, and realizing, like, okay, I feel frustrated because I've told them this thing 3 times. You got to just remember, like, exactly what it's like to do this thing. You've been doing it for however many years. Sometimes it takes somebody 5 to 6, 7, 8 times. Don't discount them as people that could be a great asset to your team and to your business. Try to be a little bit more flexible, because I think as we grow, we start getting a little jaded in those two aspects of growing and scaling a business. And we need to stay open-minded and positive, and reminding that we are the leaders. We're setting the tone. You got to come in with a positive attitude. You have to be more of a teacher than a business owner a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
time. And I think that's something that really hit home for me. And it still does, honestly, every day. I have to stop and say, okay, you're getting frustrated. Don't say anything when you're upset. Walk away, come back,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot like raising children, which I didn't know until 2 years ago, that you have to be a really good example. You have to be doing the things that you want to see in your employees, in your children.
Yeah, that's such a great answer. It really is. And it's, one of the things I've learned over the last few years was, if you're trying to put together a team, it's not hiring the resume, and it's not just hiring the person. Is that person going to fit in the culture and the blueprint that's been created?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
not only are they going to fit, are they going to thrive? And like you said, you have to be a coach, you have to be a mentor, you have to not be a dictator, not
Right.
be a communist leader. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. And it's giving people the opportunity to grow, to find
Right.
successes on their own. And I think, there's been that shift. And I think it goes along, and I've talked about this before, how it goes along with a generational shift.
Yes.
You got baby boomers that were used to going to work, being told what to do, when to go to lunch, when to take a break, when to go home. And now we're in a set of generations that they just want to be a part of something.
They really want to be a part of something great. And
Yep.
if you look at the statistics on what people are saying they want out of a job nowadays, money used to be the number one thing, and now it's flexibility. And that
Yep.
doesn't mean that you need to deal with poor performance or poor attendance. It means that you just need to listen to what they actually want. And if they're being good and asset to your team and they need to have a day off every week, or I have a staff member whose husband works out of state. She's been with me for 3+ years. She's fantastic, rarely misses a day of work, but she needs the summers off because she doesn't have any local family. And it's like, okay, take the summers off. I'd rather have you out for those 2 months than have you gone from my organization forever.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Have you ever gotten to a point with someone where you just went, nah, you're not fitting. This is just not going to work?
Yes, of course.
I
So
think everybody's
definitely
walked into that.
it's definitely a hard part about being the boss.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. So kind of to flip things a little bit and go back to your business itself and being a real estate agent, I have been in some really great, beautiful homes, and I have been in some places that I couldn't wait to get out of.
Yeah.
What kind of fun or horror stories, either one, do you have from your business?
Oh boy. Somebody else asked me this on the last podcast. I was like, what's the most interesting thing? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
we don't really like to talk about a lot of things. I think just uh like older men feeling comfortable in their underwear around my staff is probably the biggest issue that we run into. Is like,
Oh, wow.
"Ugh, can you just put on some clothes?" And I think again, it's just like it's a generational thing, or
Yep.
just it house cleaning is different than what it used to be. If you just had like your neighbor down the road who was a stay-at-home mom come do it for you. If you're hiring a professional service, they're expecting our clients to act professionally with us as well.
Yeah.
So some horror stories. That's probably the worst things that's happened. I can't think of anything else too crazy. I bet my field supervisor, if I asked her, she'd be like, "You didn't mention the big thing that happened." But it's most of our people are pretty respectful. I think we're setting a nice tone when they call. We're kind of, they're asking us questions, seeing if we're a good fit for them, and vice versa. So we don't
Yeah.
really find ourselves in too many crazy situations nowadays. I think we've figured out the questions to ask and the people that we really want to have on as our clients.
Yeah. And the one thing I think about too is like I listed a property. Now, the first time I walked into this property, I looked and I was like, this is never going to sell.
Yeah.
It was just it was in rough shape, and I mean, garbage and things, and and I'm thinking, I'm like, this is never going to sell, but somebody ended up buying it as an investor, and they were going to do
Yeah.
whatever they were going to do, but um, to each their own. But I spent 26 years in the fire service and was in and out of a lot of homes, and some are top five. Just I don't ever want to go back there ever again. I can remember one time I went to a medical call at someone's house, and I walk up to the front door, and all I smell is cat urine from the
Yes.
front door.
Yeah.
And the patient that had called was having difficulty breathing. I'm thinking to myself, I can imagine why. And I told her, I'm like, listen, we're not coming in there. You need to, sorry, you can't breathe, but you need to come out and sit on this front step because we're not going in there.
Yeah, yeah. So we have this thing that we call the dirt code, and we asked people that on the phone, and so before we started using this system, I was
Mhm.
just thinking like we do remember there was like a bed bug situation, and
Yeah.
we
Oh,
have to be really careful of stuff like that. So
yep.
now we ask the question and get the gauge, and we don't deal with anything like biohazard or bugs or
Oh,
mold or
okay.
anything like that. That's Service Master if you need something more extreme like that.
Right.
But basically, we say like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Martha Stewart's home and 10 being anything biohazard or a hoarder's home. Where do you feel like your home currently is? And most people are pretty honest about it.
Right.
So I think that's one of the reasons we've avoided a lot of situations like that.
Yeah. And, it's relationships. At the end of the day, any business that you're running is relationships, and you're starting a relationship, and it's a professional relationship where you're providing a service that you're getting paid for. But there's also no reason to put your people in a situation like you're saying, biohazards. There's no reason for them to be in that situation if they're not
No,
trained or prepared to be there.
exactly. And have the proper equipment.
Right. So if someone was considering starting up a service-based business, they were going to cleaning or otherwise, but they were going to start a service-based business. What would be some of your pieces of advice to aspiring entrepreneur that's looking to go down that road?
Service-based business, I would definitely consider commission-based pay. It's something that we're not currently doing in our business, but I would recommend it. It is the model that we follow in, well, not us particularly, but in the group that we're in. It's the number one thing that they recommend. And the reason I haven't switched over to it is because I have a lot of existing employees and I have a lot of questions surrounding if we went that model. And I need to make sure I have all the answers to that. So basically what that means, I'm sure you're very familiar with it with being a realtor, is instead of paying an
Mm-hmm.
hourly wage, so say, okay, this client pays this amount, you'll receive this amount of commission versus where you could find employees that if it's a 3-hour job, they're taking 3.5 hours, but other people can do it in 3 hours. So if you pay a commission, you have to obviously make sure that they're able to maintain the quality that you're expecting depending on whatever service you're in. But that goes a lot better. There's a lot less milk job. What are the time milking? Clock milking. I don't think
Yep.
I'm using the right term there. Milking the clock. There we go.
Yep.
Um, so that's definitely one of them. And just making sure you don't undervalue your service when you get started. I started at an extremely low hourly rate for when it came from the client's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's scary. And I don't, what if they don't you hire us at this price point? I really want to grow. Well, then when you start doubling your pricing because you realize that you have all this overhead, you have all these things involved in it, now you have a client that signed on with you at 50% less, and you're just continuously trying to get them up to what you're currently signing people on for because you
Mm-hmm.
know that you can get that dollar amount
Yep.
because your business has grown. That's a harder position to be in than just coming out, understanding what your industry standard is for the services you're providing and starting at a price point, and don't stop until they say no. Because if you need to be able to make a living doing this, you're not doing
Yep.
it because this is something that you want to spend your Sundays doing.
It's fun and I want to do it.
Yeah, and there is a sense of like, I love operating a business, but at the end of the day, I'm raising a young family based off the pay that I can pull from this company.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the more important lessons I've learned from a business coach was telling me that if you're going to go and charge a fee for a service, think of a number that makes you physically ill and go with that
Hmm.
because it's always negotiable. But if you hit too low, somebody's just going to go, okay. And now you're stuck at that rate.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you build these relationships and you feel bad saying, I'm going to need $5 to $10 more an hour. And the way I've always tried to coach myself through it is if I had a job and I did this job and somebody came to me and said, Heather, I'd like to give you the same job, but I'm going to pay you $10 more an hour. Nothing else is going to change. Which one are you going to choose?
Right.
So go into it just knowing that like if you feel confident in what you're doing and that you're going to bring a lot of value to your customer, charge the price. Now that we're busy family, me and my husband used to be a lot of we'd like to DIY everything. And now it's like, who can we hire to do this thing for us? And I would rather have somebody I can rely on that's going to do a fantastic job, that's going to charge more, and that they're
Hmm.
not going to just bow out of the whatever they're doing in a year from now because they found something better paying. So if they're happy with what they're bringing home to their family and all of that, then everybody's happy, both sides of the agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going back to what you're saying about the commission-based uh, model, do you think that gives the employees more skin in the game, so to say, versus the hourly rate?
Yeah.
Meaning they'll get a little bit more motivated to get work done based on the commission-based
Yes.
model versus hourly?
Yeah, and in the cleaning industry, we have really wonderful staff. But there are things that sometimes people have bad days, or you get a staff member that you thought was doing a fantastic job, and then things start slipping. And we've
Yep.
had to return and do. We have a 100% guarantee for our company. So if you're not satisfied, you let us know. We'll return and fix any areas.
Mm.
So if when we switch to the commission-based pay, if we have to return the commission, that is not, if you have to return to fix something that you didn't do a great job on, that is not paid. So you already received the amount of money associated with that job. So yeah, I think it definitely puts it more skin in the game. And the model that the industry that I'm in uses is basically the more hours that you work during the week, the higher tier commission you get.
Mm,
So if you call in, you get dropped on a tier. So it changes each week. You could be in tier 2, you could be in tier 3. Um, every other week up and down. So if you call in, now you're down to tier 2, so you have a lower commission.
mm-hmm.
So it works just like it's kind of a sales job in a way. And if you lose a client and they're your regular client, now you may not have anybody to fill that in. So say on Wednesday afternoons that client drops because they're not happy with your service, or you had a bad attitude or something. Your cleaning
Yep.
manager may not be able to fill you in real quick. So now you have an early Wednesday. So yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot more skin in the game.
So, do you recommend or do you use like survey feedback, customer health scores, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
to kind of gauge how the business is progressing along?
Absolutely. So we built one internally here using Google Forms that we sent out to our clients. We didn't want it to be like every week, every type, you know what I'm saying? So we started sending it out every 3 months, and now we're actually in the middle of transitioning to a new software that's going to send it out for us. And we are going to send it out every week. I think that's the only option that the software provides for us.
Hmm.
Um, and like our customers can have it turned off so they don't have to receive it. And it's a scorecard, because you hear a lot like, I didn't want to get anybody in trouble, but it's like we need to know what's going on from our clients' point of view. We also have this program that we use. It's called the Flex program, and our clients provide a huge discount if they're part of this program. It's 40% off of our services, and they allow us to bump their schedules around here and there. They're really flexible with scheduling. They allow trainees to go into their home so that we can have places to train our staff. And then they also provide us feedback every week on what's going on and what areas that we think we're doing great, areas that we're not doing so great, so that we can, it's kind of like secret shopper, but our staff know about who they are. We're not trying to hide it, but it gives us a really good feedback on what's going on in the company, where we can focus our attention to improve.
That's great. And I come from customer success has been my jam for the last few years, and working for different SaaS companies and making sure that the clients, the customers, the agencies that we worked with were getting the experience they were investing in. That's what it comes down to. I think when you're doing these service-based businesses, is that keeping the client's experience as the center focal point,
Yeah.
because essentially they're making an investment into your service, into your business, and they should be getting the experience that they're investing in.
Yes, absolutely.
So, moving through the rest of this year, going, because we're already speeding through the second half of this year,
Yeah.
and going into 2024, what's on the horizon for you or for your business? I know you'll be chasing around littles for the next few
Yes.
years, but what's on your horizon?
So me and my husband just purchased a company, and we go into taking that over on Monday all of a sudden. That is
Wow.
called CNY Green Bucket Project, and it's a food waste company. So we will be
Oh,
picking up food waste from people's homes. So our members pay a fee, and they separate their garbage from their food waste from their main garbage. We pick up the food waste, we bring it down to the Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority, and they actually use the food waste to power a building down there. It's super cool. We just took a tour
wow.
yesterday. Yeah, it's super cool stuff. We really want to grow that company. We want to continue to grow this company. I want to get out there, make sure that we're networking. I wanted to mention Cleaning for a Reason that we're part of. It's a nonprofit, and we clean cancer patients' homes for free. So if anybody's in
Oh,
treatment,
wow.
they apply for this program. They get paired up with us locally. We're the only company offering it locally here so far. And I want to get more patients. I want to reach out to the local facilities and make sure everybody's aware that we are offering these free cleanings to cancer patients. Just being more involved in the community, making sure that our networking is growing.
That's phenomenal. I just saw, I was watching a TV show the other day, and this person was talking about buying of course it was a real estate show, but they were talking about buying a vacation home.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to buy, this woman was buying the vacation home because her husband had passed away from cancer. And she wanted to buy this vacation home, not only for her and her family to enjoy, but also she was going to put it out to cancer patients and cancer
Aw.
survivors to come use this vacation home, have a place to go and rest and recharge. I think efforts like that are super commendable, and it's just fantastic that people like you, like this person that I saw, are doing those kind of things, because you have, and obviously it's near and dear to your heart because your mom is a survivor.
Yes.
So, what a great way to give back. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really phenomenal program, and we're super happy to be a part of it.
It's awesome. Well, we're kind of coming to the end here, but I wanted to ask you, what is the best way for people to connect with you, either on social or otherwise?
Sure. Our website is cnyhomesweethome.com. That is definitely the best place to, if you're interested in our services or learning more about our company. Social, we are on Instagram, Facebook, in LinkedIn. I am
Okay.
not very involved in the social aspect of the company, but it's happening. Krista takes care of that for us. Um, we are holding an event locally here in Utica to raise profit or raise funds for the Cleaning for a Reason.
Hmm.
That's happening locally here. It's going to be Pints for Purpose, and it's like the September 17th. We're going to be posting that on our social if anybody's interested in having a beer, and the proceeds go into our cancer patient program. And that's basically the best places to find us.
Fantastic. Well, Heather, I appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk about your business, talk about being an entrepreneur. I think that you really presented some great information. And, if you're looking to connect with Heather or her business and you can't seem to find her, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to, connect emails and you guys can have a conversation. But, I'm trying to grow this small community around this podcast because it's very local to Central New York in our community, and having these kind of conversations is why I do this.
Yeah,
And I love the ability to connect people and connect great people with other great people and so on and so on, because I think it's very compounding as we move along.
certainly is.
So, Heather, thank you again. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on. Everybody, please comment, drop your comments, let us know what you think of this. And if you're listening at the audio, please drop a comment or share it with anyone that you think might get some value out of it. And until next time, everybody take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Have a great day.
Thank you.